She told me right as I was tying my left shoe. I'm seeing someone else. That was it. No warning, no build-up. Just her voice behind me, flat and almost bored, like she was checking the weather. I didn't even turn around. Not right away. I remember staring at the shoelace loop in my fingers like I forgot how to finish it. There was this stupid commercial on TV in the background, something about cruise deals, and the actor's voice said, "Sail away to something new." I almost laughed. Instead, I blinked twice. Said, "Okay." That was all I gave her. No yelling. No crying. Not even a "who is he?" Just okay. She froze behind me. I heard it in her breath. That small hitch. That subtle panic. Because I think. No. I know. She was expecting me to fall apart. Beg. Bleed. Blame. I didn't. I stood up, adjusted my collar in the mirror, and walked past her. She flinched when my shoulder brushed hers. Not because I touched her, but because I didn't look at her when I did. "You're really not going to say anything?" she finally asked. I grabbed my keys off the hook. "You just did all the talking. Where are you going?" "The party," I said. "I was invited too, remember?" "But," I thought. "You thought I'd stay home and grieve?" "Nah. You're not the only one who knows how to fake a smile." She didn't follow me. Not then. But she would. And what happened at that party, what I did in front of everyone, is what left her wrecked. Not my silence. Not my pain. But my answer. And trust me, I wasn't done. The air outside hit me like a slap. Not because it was cold, but because everything inside me was hot and buzzing. My pulse felt weird, not fast, just deliberate, like every heartbeat was trying to remind me I was still alive. I could hear her behind me on the porch. I didn't give her the satisfaction of looking back. She didn't follow me to the car. She probably stood there watching me pull out of the driveway, thinking she'd won. That she'd handled it well. That I'd cry in traffic, maybe circle the block a few times, and come home once I'd cooled off. But she didn't know me as well as she thought. Not anymore. I didn't cry. I didn't circle. I didn't think. I drove straight to that rooftop party. The place was packed. Warm lights strung across the skyline, like someone tried to turn heartbreak into a holiday. Everyone was holding a glass, laughing too loudly, hugging each other like they'd all survived something I hadn't been invited to witness. I walked through them like fog. No one noticed me at first. Just the guy showing up solo, underdressed, with a storm behind his eyes. Then Sybil saw me and shouted my name. I didn't even know she remembered it. She hugged me tight and said something about being glad I came. I smiled. Not because I was glad to be there, but because smiling felt like a weapon now. One she'd never expect me to use. And then, 10 minutes in, she showed up. My wife. No. Correction. The woman who used to be my wife before she opened her mouth an hour ago. And she didn't come alone. He was with her. Tall. Tan. The kind of tan you don't earn from working hard. The kind of tan you get from playing tennis at noon on a Wednesday. His shirt was unbuttoned at the top, gold chain winking in the lights like it knew all my secrets. They walked in laughing. That broke something in me I didn't know was still intact. She saw me almost instantly. Her smile fell off her face like it never belonged there. He didn't notice. He was too busy being charming to someone near the bar. She made her way toward me. I stayed exactly where I was, sipping whatever they poured into the nearest glass I picked up. "I didn't think you'd actually come," she said, her voice low, eyes scanning the room like she was afraid someone might overhear. "You invited me. You know that wasn't real." "Yeah," I said. "Neither were your vows." That stopped her cold. "I didn't come here to fight," she said, arms folded, voice tightening. "I didn't come here for you," I replied, locking eyes. "But I might leave with someone else." Her jaw clenched. She looked away like the room was suddenly too bright. Like the consequences had finally caught up. She hadn't even begun to realize what was coming. Because I didn't just show up to be seen. I came to perform. She stood there, blinking like she couldn't process what I just said. Maybe she expected a scene, something loud and embarrassing. Maybe she thought I'd make her look like the victim, scream something messy that would give her an excuse to cry into her new man's chest and say, "See, this is why I had to leave him." But I didn't give her that. I walked away. Not fast. Not dramatic. Just clean. Controlled. Like she was an afterthought. She didn't follow me. Again. Funny how she was suddenly good at staying behind. I found a quiet spot near the glass railing overlooking the skyline. The city looked so peaceful from up there. Lights blinking like nothing in the world was falling apart. I took another sip from my glass. I think it was rose, Or maybe something with grapefruit. I didn't care. It tasted sharp, and I liked that. That's when I saw her new guy again. Alone now. She must have gone to powder her conscience or something. He was laughing, elbow deep in a story, surrounded by a few of her co-workers I vaguely recognized from previous parties. I watched him closely. The way he gestured, the casual touch on the arm, the way he checked himself in the window's reflection when he thought no one was looking. He wasn't just with her. He enjoyed being with someone else's wife. There's a difference. I should have walked away. That's what the healthy version of me would have done. Go home, cry into a pizza box, delete social media, start journaling. You know, the usual male heartbreak ritual. But standing there, watching him hold court in my world, smile with her lipstick probably still on his neck, something shifted. I pulled out my phone. Not to text her. To text someone else. A name I hadn't spoken in over a year. Mira. The one person my wife always felt threatened by. We never cheated. Not physically. But the emotional tension? Nuclear. We worked together years ago, and there was a moment, one drunken hotel bar night in Chicago, where the line almost got crossed. But I went home. To my wife. I chose loyalty. She chose Eli. Mira. I typed, "You still look good in black." She replied in under 30 seconds. Why? You getting married or buried? I stared at her message and smiled for the first time in weeks. Neither, I wrote. But I need a favor. You free tonight? Another pause. Then, send the address. And just like that, I had a plan. It wasn't revenge. Not yet. But it was the beginning of a moment she'd never recover from. Not tonight. Not ever. I didn't tell Mira everything. I didn't have to. She knew something was off the second I texted her after all that time. And the fact that she said yes without asking why told me everything I needed to know about how she still felt. She showed up 40 minutes later in a velvet black dress and heels that made her taller than she used to be. Her hair was longer too, darker, straighter, and her confidence had gone from quiet to surgical. The moment she stepped out of the elevator, half the room turned, including my wife. I watched it happen from across the rooftop. The exact second her eyes locked onto Mira, and something in her face twitched. Jealousy. No, fear. Like she saw a ghost. A version of herself she thought she'd buried years ago. Mira didn't acknowledge her. Didn't even glance in her direction. She came straight toward me and hugged me like she belonged. You didn't say it was this kind of party, she whispered. I shrugged. Wasn't supposed to be. Mira pulled back and scanned the crowd. Let me guess. The blonde in the sequin dress over there by the fire pit. I nodded once. She smirked. Amateur. She took my arm without being asked. Like she was reclaiming something. Or maybe just borrowing it for the night. And that was when the real show began. We walked together. Slowly. Through the clusters of guests who all suddenly noticed me now. I could feel their eyes tracking Myra's legs, my expression, our body language. People who hadn't said a word to me all year were smiling, nodding, offering polite, "Hey man, good to see you," comments like I hadn't been invisible before. The fake ones came fast. Even Eli noticed. He tried to hide it, but his smile dimmed when he spotted Mira. She was the kind of woman who made men reassess their relationships mid-conversation. She had that energy, unreadable, a little dangerous, utterly uninterested in what people thought of her. My wife came toward us like she was walking into gunfire. Can we talk? She asked me, eyes never leaving Mira. I tilted my head. Now you want to talk? Just a minute. Alone. Mira looked at me, then at her. Oh, I'll stay right here, she said, smiling like it was her house. Take your time. We stepped to the side, maybe 10 feet away, just far enough to pretend no one could hear. You brought her, she hissed. You brought him, I said calmly. That's not the same. You're right, I said. He's new. Myra's a flashback. Her jaw clenched so tight I thought her teeth might crack. Are you doing this to hurt me? No, I said, leaning in slightly. That part already happened. This is just the part where I stop bleeding and let you watch. She swallowed hard. Her eyes were glassy now. She wanted to scream, but she didn't, because everyone was watching. And that's when Mira walked over, drink in hand, and said to her, sweet as honey, thanks for letting me borrow him. I'll have him back by Monday. I've never seen someone's soul leave their body in real time, but I'm pretty sure I did that night. And I wasn't done yet. Not even close. She didn't say anything after Myra's line. Just stood there, stunned, the kind of silence that usually comes after an accident. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. I watched her try to form a sentence and fail twice before she gave up completely and walked away without a word. Not back to Eli. Not to the bar. Just away. Somewhere quiet, probably. Somewhere she could breathe. But I didn't follow. I turned back to Mira and asked if she wanted to dance. The DJ was playing some obnoxious remix of a 90s pop song that didn't fit the mood, but we moved to the edge of the rooftop anyway. Mira was effortless. She always had been. She didn't care about people watching. Didn't try to perform. She just moved with me like we'd never stopped. People stared. I didn't mind. They whispered. I welcomed it. Across the room, I caught Eli looking uncomfortable for the first time. He was alone now, sipping something too fast and pretending to text. No one was laughing at his jokes anymore. The spotlight had moved. And that's when she returned. Not to the center. Not to her new guy. She found me again. Same spot. Same tension. Can we please talk? She asked, this time with an edge of panic in her voice. Like something inside her finally snapped. I looked at Mira. She gave me the slightest nod. I'll be by the bar. When my wife and I stepped aside again, I could see her breathing like she'd just run 5 blocks. She was unraveling, but still trying to hold the thread. This isn't fair, she said, her voice cracking. To who? To me. I blinked. To you? She wiped at her eyes, smudging her makeup. You don't understand. I didn't plan for this. Eli just happened. Things have been off between us for a long time, and you never even noticed. Because I was too busy fixing things, I cut in. Things you kept breaking in the dark and then pretending you didn't know how they got that way. I didn't cheat on you out of hate, she said suddenly. I felt invisible. The moment she said that, something twisted in me, slow, deep. A sick kind of irony. Invisible, I repeated. That's rich. Because I was invisible. I stood in every room next to you. Introduced myself as your husband, while people smiled past me like I was a waiter who forgot their drinks. She opened her mouth, probably to defend herself again, but I kept going. I gave you everything I had, and you handed it to someone who doesn't even know your favorite movie. He does know. No, he thinks he does, I snapped. Because you're letting him date the version of you that I helped build. That shut her up. And in the silence, I saw something flicker across her face. Not just guilt. Not regret. Loss. She realized she hadn't just broken something. She'd burned it. And now she was watching the ashes slip through her hands in real time. You don't have to hate me, she said softly. I don't, I replied. I just don't have to respect you anymore. She flinched like I hit her. Good. Because that was the moment she stopped being the woman I loved and started being the one who ruined everything. She didn't follow me this time. She stood there, shoulders hunched, eyes darting like she was hoping the conversation we just had would disappear into the noise. But it wouldn't. People saw. People noticed. And Mira? Mira saw everything. I went back to her, and she offered me a drink like nothing had happened. That was the thing about Mira. She didn't get flustered. She didn't need drama. She was the drama, if you pushed her far enough. And I think she could feel I was reaching that place inside me where pain becomes performance. You okay? She asked quietly, handing me the glass. Not even close, I said. But I'm ready. For what? For closure. My kind of closure. I stepped toward the mic. See, Sybil's party wasn't just drinks and mingling. She'd planned speeches. A toast here, a roast there, some inside jokes only her co-workers would get. I wasn't on the list, of course. But the guy running the audio recognized me from one of her barbecues last year and said, You want to say something? Be quick though, Sybil's up in 10. I smiled. I'll keep it short. I didn't. The mic feedback hit first, cutting through the rooftop buzz. People turned. I cleared my throat, scanning the crowd until my eyes found hers, standing beside Eli now, her drink frozen halfway to her lips. Hey, everyone. I began, voice steady, calm, almost too calm. I know I'm not on the schedule, but I just wanted to take a quick moment to say something. Not to Sybil, though happy birthday, but to someone else in this room. The crowd went still. She's wearing silver, I said. And she told me about an hour ago that she's been sleeping with someone else. Not just sleeping with him, laughing with him, planning with him, hiding things, real things. Things you only share when you've decided someone new is worth destroying what you already have. A sharp inhale rippled through the guests. And I'm not saying this to shame her, I continued. Though let's be honest, she did a great job of that on her own. I'm saying this because some people only understand consequences when the lights are on and everyone's watching. I turned to her then. She wasn't breathing. Eli was red-faced and backing away from her like she'd turned radioactive. You wanted to tell me before the party, I said into the mic, eyes still locked on hers. Well, now the party knows. I guess that makes us even. I handed the mic back to the stunned DJ, turned without another word, and walked toward the elevator. I felt Mira beside me, silent, powerful in her restraint. The elevator dinged. Doors opened. I didn't look back. But I heard it. Not a scream, not a sob. Just a single sound, glass shattering against concrete. Whether she dropped it or threw it, I'll never know. And I don't care. Because that was the moment I stopped being the man she left behind and started being the one she should have never let go. The silence in the car was heavier than the music had been on the rooftop. Mira didn't speak. She didn't need to. She just drove with one hand on the wheel and the other resting on the armrest between us, fingers brushing mine now and then, not like a lover, not yet, but like someone anchoring me, making sure I didn't drift back into that place where betrayal rots your spine from the inside out. I should have felt euphoric, like I'd won, but winning doesn't feel like a parade. It feels like breathing alone for the first time in years and realizing how shallow your lungs have gotten. When she dropped me off at my place, Mira didn't ask to come in. She just leaned in before I got out and said, "That was brutal. Not just for her, but for you too. Don't pretend it didn't cost you something." I nodded, opened the door, and said the only thing I could. "Thank you for reminding me who I used to be." Inside, the house was still. Too still. Candles long dead. Their wax melted into weird shapes that looked almost like evidence. I sat in the dark for a while. No lights. No music. Just the low hum of the fridge and the occasional distant car passing outside. Then I heard the knock. Not a bang. Not a desperate pounding. Just two soft, practiced taps. She didn't wait for me to open it. She tried the handle, found it unlocked, and let herself in like she still had the right. She stood in the doorway, backlit by the street lamp outside, makeup ruined, dress wrinkled, heels in her hand. "I didn't know where else to go," she said. "That's not true," I replied. She didn't argue. She stepped in farther, then stopped in the middle of the living room like she was afraid of touching anything. Like the air itself might accuse her. "Everyone was looking at me like I was garbage," she said, almost in a whisper. "Even Sybil. Even Eli. He left early, by the way. Didn't say a word. Just disappeared." "You picked him," I said flatly. "No," she snapped. "I picked wrong. That's not the same." I stood, walked past her, poured a glass of water like I wasn't dying to throw it in her face. She followed me into the kitchen. "Please," she said. "Let me explain. You already did. Tonight. When you laughed with him. When you told me before the party just to ease your guilt. When you walked in there with someone else on your arm like I was roadkill in your rearview mirror. I didn't think you'd actually show up." "Exactly," I cut in. "You thought I'd stay home and stay small." Her eyes filled again. But this time, I didn't care. Tears only mean something when they come before the wreckage. "I still love you," she said, voice breaking. And for a second, a stupid, muscle memory second, my body reacted. My chest tightened. My breath caught. Because hearing those words from the person who shattered you hits like static in your bones. But my mind was done playing dead. "I left the door unlocked," I said slowly. "Not because I wanted you back, but because I wanted you to see that even when you could come in, you don't belong here anymore." Her lip trembled. "You don't mean that." "I do," I said. "And so do you. You just waited too long to say it." She took a step back, then another, and when the door closed behind her, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Stillness. Not peace. Not yet. But the space where peace could finally grow. It's been 5 weeks since that night. I've replayed it 1,000 times in my head. The party, the speech, the silence that followed. For a while, I questioned everything. Not just her betrayal, but mine. Not cheating. No, I never touched anyone. But I betrayed myself. For years. I let my voice get quiet. Let my needs become optional. I let her rewrite who I was just because she didn't like the original draft. That was on me. But here's the thing about pain. It teaches you to see clearly. Eventually. I didn't see how she'd let go a long time before Eli showed up. I just kept holding on tighter, thinking that if I squeezed hard enough, the cracks wouldn't spread. But cracks don't care about effort. They spread anyway. And now, I can finally admit it. She was gone long before she packed her bags. I just wasn't ready to open the door and let her absence in. Now I am. The apartment's different now. Brighter, cleaner, quieter in a good way. I donated the couch we picked together. Changed the locks. Took down the wedding photo. I didn't burn it. I'm not that dramatic. I just stored it away, like an old book I've already read. One I don't need to reread to remember how it ends. Mira? She's still around. Not in a whirlwind, not in a rebound sort of way. Just around. We text. Sometimes she comes over with takeout, and we don't talk about the past. We talk about movies, politics, that one annoying neighbor who keeps forgetting trash day. She doesn't ask me what I want next, and I love her for that. For the first time in a long time, I don't feel like a supporting character in someone else's story. I've started writing again. Just little things, posts, journal entries, even a few half-finished songs I'll probably never show anyone. It's not about being good. It's about feeling mine again. Sometimes I walk past mirrors and don't recognize myself, but not because I'm lost. Because I'm changing. I still have bad days. Mornings where the ghost of her lingers in the shape of the bed. Evenings where I wonder if I was ever enough, or if I just tried too hard to become someone who might be. But those days are fading. One truth keeps me moving. She may have broken my heart, but I get to decide what grows in the ruins. And this time, it's going to be something beautiful,